Well, a lot of companies started, because Vermont, now it's, what is it? It's September. And so a lot of these, this bill was supposed to, Vermont had a July 1st, everything was supposed to be labeled in that state. So many companies, big companies, had already started labeling, like Mars and some General Mills, I think. They'd already started labeling, contains genetically engineered ingredients or genetically engineered corn, whatever the label said. And so they were already doing it. So those are out there labeled. And so there's an Organic Consumers Association, I think it's a wonderful, great group. And there are petitions there and other places, Center for Food Safety is another one, to make these companies continue to label, that we want labels. And they'll see what happens when people have it on the label, if they don't buy it, or if they buy it anyway. Maybe they won't care, maybe they will care. So a lot of those companies are trying to source non-GMO ingredients so that they don't have to label. People are so concerned now about what they eat that most places do have an organic section. Even Safeway and these big, Kroger's, these giant stores, they want to be like Whole Foods. Whole Foods has done very, very well. I mean, a lot of people call it whole paycheck, whatever. I love Whole Foods. They carry my films. I travel a lot. I know I can go to these cities and go to Whole Foods and I can find something I want to eat. But there's a lot of, there's more and more people growing organically, smaller farms, people are going back to farming or taking over their parents' farms, turning organic, and they take it to their local stores. The places where you can't, and people say, they say, oh, it's only happening in the coasts, it's not happening in the middle of the country. It is happening in the middle of the country. It's happening in the middle of the country. There are farmers markets all over, it's coming back. People want it. And a lot of, like, for example, my best friend growing up saw the Future of Food in Cincinnati. She saw it. She lives in Cincinnati where we grew up. And she said, we don't have a farmer's market, because at the end of that film there's farmers markets and how lovely it is and everything. She said, we don't have a farmer's market. I'm going to start a farmer's market. So she and a friend of hers who had lived in California and liked farmers markets and had moved back to Cincinnati started this farmer's market in the town, little suburb that we grew up in. And it started, and they did the work, and they got these farmers to grow organically. And some farms, they weren't really doing very well because they didn't have a place for their stuff. And now they had this place. Or she recruited farmers. She's like, well, she knew if people had a family farm and they weren't doing anything. She'd say, why don't you grow for the farmer's market? We've got a farmer's market. So she got all these farmers, and they had to be organic, and she had like 20 farmers, and she started this at this town square and became so popular. It's like the place to go on, I think it's Saturday morning. And they've closed the town square. They've closed it to cars, so it spreads out over the whole town square. And people come and they have music and they have things for kids. And I went there, I saw so many people I knew. I like all these people I used to go to parties with in high school. It was like, hey, this is great. And the retail stores around the square love it because people go there and then they walk by and window shop and say, oh, that's cute, I'm going to go try that on. So it's just been very, very popular and a lot of work. And so that was like 10 years, That's been 10 years, and it's fantastic. I don't know. That's something people say about Walmart, but I don't know. I don't know that. That would be something for me to look up and see where we are now. But I do know that Costco has made a real commitment to organic. Costco. I think more than Walmart. I don't know if Walmart, they say they are, I don't know if they are or not. But Costco is very committed to organic. They have a big organic section, and a friend of mine who's an organic farmer in the San Joaquin Valley, she has workshops for Costco managers to tell them what organic is. So they come to her farm and visit and she trains them. And they're super committed, and they sell, my friend's almonds and all these kinds of things. And more astonishing to me was last spring, Ignacio Chapela, who's a professor at UC Berkeley, who's in the Future Food and Symphony of the Soil, told me that he got a call, his college there at UC Berkeley, College of Natural Resources, got a call from Costco, and they requested that he do a workshop for the managers of Costco about GMOs. If he'd do a workshop for them for GMOs. So they come to the Berkeley campus, they sit there for a few hours while he tells them about GMOs. And he's very much against GMOs. I mean, he's spoken out against them publicly, and he's done work in Mexico. I mean, you can watch the film. He's an amazing scientist, wonderful person, just incredible person. He's spoken all over the world and is very committed. And he's actually an excellent professor. I mean, I would love to have had him in college because he makes everything so fascinating. It's like, why are there those lines of trees over there in the distance? And it's like, why? And so, but the fact that he was, and then it worked out so well that he's doing more. The fact that Costco would call someone who's sort of one of the best known anti-GMO professors and activists, I guess, although he considers himself, he's a scientist and he knows the science. And so he knows about what it is. He knows he's a microbial ecologist, so he knows you can't really just start messing around with DNA and think that that you will know exactly what's going to happen. You won't, because we don't really, DNA is still very mysterious about what goes on. So the fact that Costco got him to teach their managers why GMO is problematic is, to me, fantastic. I mean, I just felt really good when I heard that. It was just great. But they're committed, and they want, I don't know if this is true, but I've heard that they want to go organic, whole. I mean, they already growing organic, but they want to, go all organic. And that's great, because I think I love small farms. I have friends who are farmers on small farms, and Full Belly Farm, that's been in both my films. They farm I think it's 500 acres. They're not small. That's a lot. That's a lot of vegetables and fruit to grow. But but then there's industrial organic, that grows big fields down in the valley. I don't know. I think we need to get the pesticides and chemicals out of our fields and out of our lives. So I'm not against industrial organic. I think that, the proof is, do you think this is a wonderful peach? Do you I want to support small farms, but I'm happy to, if I could go in an airport and find organic food that's grown on an industrial farm instead of having to eat something I think is probably, full of crap and preservatives and all kinds of stuff, I would do that. So I'm for all organic. I'm for all organic. I'm not going to put down any of them. I think if people do the work and create food that's grown without pesticides and don't have toxins in them, I think we should support them.